Hi everyone, welcome to this Overseas webinar on buying property in Greece without any stress, or at least reducing that stress as much as humanly possible. My name is Julian Benson. I'm a writer here at Overseas Home, and I'm joined by Jenny Sakalari, a lawyer at Elxis. Elxis is a leading provider of real estate and legal services in Greece, and they've been operating for more than 30 years. Before we get any further along, Jenny, could you give us a little bit about what you do? What's your day-to-day like?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm Jenny Sakelari, a lawyer from one of the 9 lawyers of the legal department of Elxis at Home in Greece, a real estate company, which has also an in-house legal team. That's something that separates us from other real estate agencies. We have offices in Thessaloniki, Crete, Utrecht, the Netherlands, and more than 30 years of experience in real estate. I'm very grateful and pleased to be here with you. I'm happy to address any question you may have regarding the property purchase procedure in Greece. And thank you very much for having me.
Awesome, thank you. Really what today's going to be about is answering as many questions from viewers as we can. We've got some prepared as well because, well, frankly, I've got lots which I'd like to know about. One of the things which I will just bit of housekeeping before. So we're going to be taking questions from the viewers at home. But if you're watching, you can use the panel on the right side of the screen to write us questions. Then I'll be putting those to Jenny. And if you've got any follow-ups, again, please put them into the panel on the right side. It's basically a good way we can get a bit of a conversation going. Though I will also say, if you've got anything which is really specific to your personal needs when for your property journey, as you can see on the screen, Jenny's provided her contact details and a QR code, which will take you to the Elxis system where you can also book a consultation. Really, what today is going to be is about talking through some of the larger parts of the buying process. Your situation is going to be unique, and the best way to get those answers is to have a one-on-one consultation. As one last housekeeping matter, if you need a reminder of anything that gets discussed today or want to share this with family and friends, we're going to be recording this webinar, and you'll be sent a link to that recording at the end of the session. So if you want to rewatch it or to share it with anyone, just send them the link to the webinar and you'll be fine. Awesome. Okay, so Jenny, if we could start a little bit about sort of like broad strokes of the process of buying in Greece. Can you walk us through some of the stages that someone's going to go through when they're looking for a property and putting an offer in?
Well, the first legal step is the legal sale of the property. I mean, we as lawyers, our role starts when the offer is accepted from the parties. Our role starts there. The first step is definitely before paying any deposit to the seller. We will start with the legal check of the property. That means that we, as lawyers, have only access to the archives of the land registry and the Hellenic cadastre. We will make a check and confirm the ownership titles if the ownership titles are in order, that the property bears no encumbrances, and have a general check or legal check on the property. So I would say that the first and very important step for the purchase procedure is the legal check of the property before paying any deposit.
Awesome. And so as well, it's someone's in there. They know they're going to be buying in Greece. They're going to start their viewing trips, their searches. At what point should they be in contact with you? Is it only after they've had an offer accepted, or is it good that they start that relationship before they actually start looking for a house?
Well, you have the good thing is that you need to appoint a lawyer as soon as possible in the process, even when there is a strong intention to make an offer. But generally, our role starts after the offer is accepted.
And as well, sort of when it comes to sort of working with a new client, are there documents that people should be getting ready? What does a prepared buyer look like to you?
That's a great question. The documents that the buyer needs, it's first you need to have a valid passport or an ID card. And of course, you will need the Greek tax identification number. In Greek, is called AFIMI. A Greek tax identification number is obligatory to have to someone to have in order to buy a property in Greece. But don't worry, we handle this procedure on your behalf by the virtue of the power of attorney you're going to provide us. So after you sign a power of attorney, we take it from there. We do everything for our client's behalf, from the very first meeting to the last step of the purchase procedure, namely the registration of the ownership in the land registry and the cadastre. We do everything for our clients, giving them regularly updates.
Fantastic. And actually, so just for anyone who's not come across the term before, power of attorney, that's when you enable a solicitor or a lawyer to act on your behalf.
Exactly. You appoint by the power of attorney. You appoint a lawyer, us, the lawyers, to act on your behalf, and giving them specific mandates to be completed in order to make the property procedure possible and done.
Fantastic. And as well, so like the process of buying a home, it obviously varies from country to country and from home to home, but sort of on average, do you have sort of an idea of what someone should expect when they're buying in Greece?
You mean like
Like a timeline of the
a
from
time
sort of
frame?
from offer to
Well,
completion.
that's, I would say, that's the trickiest question we often get, because to be honest, it depends. The honest answer is it depends. It depends on the property and how ready the seller has its documentation paperwork ready. I mean, to give you a brief note, in Greece, in order for a property to be sold, the seller by law needs to appoint an engineer who will make a spot check on the property and declare that every construction is legal. Also, the engineer will need to issue some required documents that need to be submitted to the notary before who we're going to sign the purchase deed. As you understand, the engineer is liable for what he declares, even with his own license. So, by law, the buyer is protected. So, regarding the procedure, the purchase procedure. To direct answer your question, I think 2 to 3 months is a realistic time frame for a purchase to be completed.
Fantastic. And so, as well, if you're going for, say, a new build property, are those tend to go? Do they tend to go faster, or do they sort of take a similar length of time?
Well, the answer also here is it depends. I think for every property, a realistic time frame for the completion is 2 to 3 months in order to be completed. So that's very realistic.
Fantastic. So we've actually got a question coming in from one of the viewers at the moment, and they're asking. They're saying that they're hoping to buy in the next 2 or 3 years. And what does the legal check of the property cover? We are near. Let's me just. So they've heard of sort of instances where there's been sort of a breakdown of a sale. But if we could start with sort of what does the legal check cover? What are the sort of the documents that you're going to be pulling together for a buyer?
Well, the legal check includes our visit, the lawyer visits the land registry and the Hellenic cadastre. We as lawyers have only access to the archives of the land registry and the Hellenic cadastre. So we are confirming that the ownership titles are in order. That means that the seller is indeed the owner of the property, who has legally acquired the property from the previous seller, and that moves on. And we also check if there are any encumbrances in the property that we need to know and that the buyer needs to be aware of, or any third party claims.
Fantastic. And so as well, like because obviously most of the people who are watching are going to be in the situation of they're currently living outside of Greece and looking to buy within Greece. When it comes to things like residency situations and sort of what rights does buying a property in Greece grant you when it comes to residency?
That's a very important question, and that often causes confusion. I will start by saying that the EU citizens can stay everywhere in the Europe as much as they like. On the contrary, that the same does not apply for the non-EU citizens who, in order to do so, one way is to submit an application for obtaining a golden visa. Uh, in this case, if they have a golden visa, they can stay in Europe as much as they want and be there for as far as they want. In addition, I would like to say, to clarify that in general, the purchase procedure is the same, even if you are an EU citizen or a non-EU citizen. There is no difference in the procedure, but except a slight difference when a non-EU citizen wish to buy property near Greece's borders. There, he will need to obtain a special permit, but this is a very standard process, and especially for UK citizens, this is particularly smooth to obtain this special permit. You do not have to worry about it. We handle all the procedure, the relevant procedure on your behalf, so we do everything for you, of course.
And I suppose with that special permit, is that something which can be done at the same time as other applications? So it's not going to slow down it's not going to necessarily extend the timeline at all, because you could be both applying for that special permit at the same time as you're performing your searches.
Well, no, the legal, you mean the legal search?
Mhm.
The legal, it is made, the legal search is made from the beginning of the procedure, even before giving any deposit. While this special permit, you can apply through the whole process until before the completion of the process of the purchase procedure, of the completed purchase.
This may be too specific for me, I'm afraid. But are there any major cities that would sort of you would need to be using that near border permit for? Any locations people might be looking at which they hadn't realised they needed that permit?
Well, these locations for which non-EU citizens need to obtain this special permit is like north. It is the border of Greece, like North Greece, is northeast Greece, the islands there, the islands of Dodecanese, and even Rhodes. This is briefly some of the places that a non-EU citizen will need to obtain a special permit.
That's great, thank you. And so, as well, you mentioned a notary in one of your previous answers. I was wondering if,
Mhm.
because this isn't a role we have in the UK, what is it a notary does, and are they part of your team? Are they separate? How does it work?
Thank you for this question. Because the role of a notary and a lawyer are very different, but very essential to the purchase procedure. And I know that unlike UK, the notary in Greece is the one who makes, let's say, the transaction. To be more specific, the notary is the one who drafts the purchase deed, who makes sure that all formalities are followed and that the transaction is valid. On the other hand, the lawyer is the one who represents you in a purchase procedure, the one who makes the legal check, performs the legal check on your behalf on the property, the one who negotiates the terms in any agreement you make with the other party, and of course, who coordinates all the procedure with, makes all the communication with the seller's side. So I would say briefly that the notary in the purchase procedure is the one who formalizes, let's say, the transaction, while the the lawyer protects your interest. Both roles are very essential and very different.
That's fantastic. And so, in terms of using a notary, is that somebody that you as a buyer would find a notary and you would hire the services of a notary, or how's that arranged?
We have a wide variety of notaries with whom we cooperate and who make sure that are professionals who will take care of each case and look each case particularly and with professionalism. So you do not have to worry about it. We have a wide variety all over Greece of notaries with whom we cooperate. So that's nothing to worry about.
And as well, like sort of in terms of their fees, are they something which is covered by the buyer, by the seller? And how large a fee might you expect to pay?
Mhm. That's an excellent question. Except from the purchase price, I mean, it's a cost in the purchase procedure. The obligatory cost that a buyer needs to pay is approximately the initial is 5.5% of the purchase sum. These costs include the transfer taxes, which are about 3% of the purchase sum, and the rest are notary fees and land registry fees. Of course, then there are lawyer fees and Elxis fees, our fees, which amount to 4% of the purchase sum. Uh, I think that you should have in mind that except from the purchase price, another 9 to 10% approximately of the purchase sum is the costs that are involved in the purchase procedure.
That's great, thank you. And so as well, like when it comes to things like building permits and for renovation work and so on, like how do you go about applying for these? And do you should you be looking into this before you've actually exchanged contracts?
Well, in order to see whether you need a building permit or not, you will have to be specific of what the works you wish to made in the property. You might either need a building permit or for, let's say, for significant construction that you wish to make in the property, or you might wish you might need to obtain as, let's say, a small scale permit, which is often for minor renovations or repairs. Uh, which permit is required has to do with the exact works and construction you need to make on the property. Of course, we can see what you wish to make together. Also with an engineer, we have a variety of engineers with whom we also cooperate to see the most advantages and legal process that would suit your case.
That's great. So actually, so if I was in the process of, I'd found a place that I absolutely was dead set on. I thought this was a fantastic property, but it was going to need the floors to be replaced, the an extension built to it. If I was telling you this at the point that we're going through the process of buying the property, you'd be able to recommend which permits to get, and also help me apply for those permits at the same time.
Of course. Well, if you already know from the beginning what you need to do on the property, we can discuss your wishes with an engineer and make a tailor-made plan of what we will need regarding the permits. Of course, we're there to assist you and do all the relevant applications so on your behalf to obtain all the required permits you will need for the construction you wish to make.
That's great because also obviously when people are going through that process of buying, they quite often have that survey which then reveals uh, more issues than they were necessarily expecting. So to actually line up those permits during that process, so at the point of exchange, they're all lined up to start the building work and the renovation work is ideal.
Yeah, of course. And as previously discussed, in general, in order a property to be sold, it needs to be 100% legal. So an engineer, the seller has by law to appoint an engineer who will make a spot check on the property and to declare that every construction is legal and ready to be transferred. If the engineer finds something that is not is unauthorized and not unauthorized construction, in order for this to be transferred to the buyer, it needs to be legalized. So the seller needs to legalize it.
So is that in that sense, is it the seller would have to repair the damaged part of the property and get it up to a legal level, or can they notify the buyer there is this problem that will need to be fixed, and we want to take that amount off the price? Which way around does it work?
The seller will make any possible action in order, not possible, any required action in order for the property to be legally transferred to the other party. Of course, by this will be done in coordination of the procedure. The buyer will be notified of what is going to what's the case, what actions need to be taken before the completion of the procedure, of the purchase procedure. But definitely the seller has to legalize any construction, so for property to be transferred to the buyer.
That's great. I wish we had that system here. Um, so one of the questions we've got in from a viewer is asking about the FIP, the retirement visa. They're asking if they're saying, I'm intending to relocate to Crete, and as a retired person, they think they can qualify for the FIP, which would allow them to buy a property for less than 800,000 euro. Is there any risk with doing this? They're worried that the FIP might only last for 2 years. Is this something which you're able to speak to?
Well, this is a very specific question. If we want this to be answered, I have to discuss it in detail. You can send me, of course, this question and to see your options. Generally, we are working with golden visas. I mean, with this kind of permits. But of course, if you have any question you would like to address, of course, I'd be happy to have it.
That sounds great. And yeah, it did sound quite specific as I was reading it. And as always the case, everyone's situation is going to be unique. And all we can really recommend is do get in touch with Jenny. Use those contact details which are on the screen at the moment. It's a great way to be able to actually sit down with someone, say where you are in the process, what it is that you're looking to achieve. And like, well, as has been coming out from your answers already, is that there's a lot of aspects of the buying process that could be tailored to what someone's needs are, be it what permits they're looking for, what visas they're looking for. So yes,
Of course. In many cases, there is no one size fit answer. You provide us with your needs and your wishes, and we made together a tailor-made plan according to your needs that will be most advantageous in its particular case.
also, just for viewers at home, we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. So if you were to want to ask a question still, this is absolutely the time to get it in. One of the things I really wanted to ask as well is like, what are the common mistakes you see people make, or what tips can you give people to avoid making those pitfalls?
Well, in general, what I want to clarify is that the purchase procedure is made in Greece before a Greek notary by signing a purchase deed. That's the way the ownership transaction can take place. Then, a first and foremost step that needs to be made is the legal check on the property, definitely before paying any deposit. Appoint a lawyer you trust, a lawyer that speaks your language so that you can clearly communicate, to make the legal check on the property, to explain to you everything, every step of the purchase procedure, in order to be fully updated, fully informed about what is going on, what steps are we going to follow, so everything is clear.
That's great. And so much obviously this call has been focused on the process of buying, the getting to the point that you actually own somewhere in Greece. What happens afterwards? I mean, so you've exchanged your contracts, you've got the keys to the place. Like, what legal steps should people be taking to sort of get integration with the tax system to make sure that essentially the government knows that they're there? What should people be doing?
Well, That's a great question, because what, let's say, highlights us among other real estate agencies is that our role does not end by signing the purchase deed. We're here for you. We do not disappear. We're here for you to support you even after the purchase procedure. In the end, it might all be Greek to you. I mean, there are still some things that need to be completed. So we contacted with your accountant in Greece to ensure that the ownership of the property you bought has been registered to the tax authority. We remind you to be in contact with your accountant for your yearly obligations you might have as a property owner in Greece. And in general, we aim to make the transaction and all the procedure to be stress-free as possible for you. In short, we remain by your side even after you receive the keys of the property.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And also, I just want to say thank you so much for answering all of these questions today. I realize I've just been peppering them at you. We've had questions in from viewers. We've obviously had these questions prepared, but thank you for covering such a wide range of topics.
Thank you. It was really my pleasure to be here with you, to be honest.
Just to say to everyone, thank you. That's all we're going to have time for today. But as I've been recommending through the call and would recommend now, like sort of do get in touch with Jenny if you've got specific questions. The best way to find out everything you want to know about that process of buying Greece is to book a call, find out a time that you can both talk, and just go through the process and stage that you're at, what you're looking for, what you need. And there'll be so much about moving to Greece that you won't know about until you've spoken to someone who both lives there but is also a specialist in this. If you found this session helpful, please do leave us a review on Trustpilot. It's something which we really benefit from. It gives us feedback. It tells us how to improve. There should be a link for that coming up in a second. If it doesn't come up, then do go to trustpilot.com and search us out, and you can add it there. But again, Jenny, thank you for all your insightful tips and advice.
Thank you for having me here. It was my pleasure to be here with you. And I hope that we provide very important information to our viewers.
That's great. Thank you so much. And hopefully see people at the next webinar. Bye.
Bye-bye.